Okay, so picture this for a second. An Indian college student is on their daily commute, standing on a packed local bus. They're trying to balance this massively heavy backpack on one shoulder, clinging to the overhead rail with the other hand, and just trying desperately not to bump into anyone. It's a very real, very frustrating problem. But here's the million-dollar question. How do we actually move past a problem like this and come up with brilliant solutions without just rushing into a flawed Band-Aid fix? Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unlock the ultimate key to true creative thinking. It's honestly a secret weapon used by the world's absolute best innovators, and it's called the How Might We framework. By the time we wrap up here today, you are going to look at everyday challenges in a completely different light. Here is our roadmap for today. We've got 6 quick stops. 1, beyond the problem. 2, decoding how might we. 3, problems versus opportunities. 4, real-world examples. 5, crafting the perfect question. And 6, your turn to design. Let's jump right in.
Section 1, beyond the problem, framing the right mindset.
Section 2, decoding how might we. Breaking down the acronym. To really get into that right mindset, the most crucial thing to understand right out of the gate is that professional designers do not just immediately ask, "What's the solution?" That's a total trap. If you jump straight to the solution, you're missing out on all the incredible, wild possibilities floating around in the creative space. Instead, they use a tool that sounds so incredibly simple, but the psychology behind it is just brilliant. At its core, a how might we, or HMW question, is literally just a way of transforming a rigid, heavy problem into a wide open opportunity for exploration. Instead of limiting our thinking and making us feel totally stuck, a how might we question kicks open the door to immense creativity. It instantly changes the vibe in the room from a heavy, defeated sigh to a really energetic brainstorming session. Let's actually break that down word by word, because it is super intentional how it shifts your mindset from fixating on an issue to exploring possibilities. How suggests that there isn't just one single answer out there. There are many possible solutions just waiting to be discovered. Might completely removes the pressure. We aren't demanding the one perfect, flawless answer right this second. We're just casually exploring possibilities. And we is absolutely crucial. It encourages collaboration because design and innovation, they're almost always a team effort. You are not alone in solving this. Section 3, problems versus opportunities, changing the narrative. So instead of a standard heavy problem statement like students struggle with heavy backpacks, which honestly just feels like a total dead end pointing out what's wrong, we reframe it. We ask, how might we make carrying study materials more comfortable for college students? Notice the massive difference there. The first one is a wall. The HMW question feels like the start of an exciting journey. We aren't even focusing on just a heavy bag anymore. We're suddenly focusing on the students' comfort and how they interact with all their study materials. Moving on to Section 4, real-world design examples across different fields. Because, this isn't just academic theory. This framework solves tangible, everyday problems. Let's talk fashion design. The standard complaint is often that office workers find formal clothing uncomfortable. Now, if you live in a place with a humid climate, think Mumbai or Chennai, wearing stiff, formal clothes for a long commute and a 10-hour workday is just miserable. But by reframing it to ask, how might we design professional clothing that remains comfortable throughout the day, we empower designers to tackle the actual physical discomfort of those long working hours. They can experiment with breathable fabrics and new cuts, rather than just accepting the misery as a fact of life. And this works brilliantly for interior design, too. Rather than just stating the depressing problem that families spend very little time together in the living room, we ask, how might we create living spaces that encourage family interaction? In a lot of Indian homes, family time is everything, but modern busy urban apartments can sometimes fragment that traditional setup. This question lets interior designers completely rethink the layout. Maybe it's not about buying a bigger TV, right? Maybe it's about arranging seating to face each other, creating this natural hub for conversation over evening chai. It's the exact same in the digital world. UI and UX designers face this hurdle constantly, where users just abandon an app right during registration. Reframing this shifts the focus entirely away from the user's failure. Instead of blaming the user for having a short attention span, we ask, how might we simplify the registration experience for first-time users? Suddenly, the whole team is looking at autofill options, social media logins, and trimming down those required fields. Even in graphic design, this works wonders. Think of a busy, visually loud environment, like a crowded Indian bazaar or a bustling train station. The problem is that people ignore public awareness posters. By asking, how might we communicate important messages in a way that immediately captures attention, designers can tackle the challenge of standing out. They might use bold, local art styles, humor, or interactive elements, rather than just lazy fixes like making the font bigger.
Section 5. Crafting the perfect question. The rules of HMW.
Now, a quick warning here. It is highly important to remember that not every how might we question is actually effective. You can't just slap those 3 words in front of a random sentence and call it a day. A good question absolutely must have 3 exact traits to truly work. First, it has to be open-ended. It needs to invite multiple ideas, not just a simple yes or no or point to one super obvious solution. Second, it must be user-centered. It's got to focus on the person experiencing the problem, not what is easiest for the designer or the business. And third, it must be specific. It avoids being way too broad, so you actually have a clear, actionable target to hit.
For example, asking, how might we improve education, is way too broad. I mean, you could brainstorm for a decade and still not have a workable solution because the scope is just massive. But if you ask, how might we help first-year design students organize their project work more effectively, you can see the difference immediately. The clearer and more focused the question is, the more focused the ideas will be. You instantly start picturing planners, digital dashboards, or maybe campus workshops.
Section 6. Your turn to design. Applying the framework. All right, let's bring this all together and go back to our initial backpack case study from the beginning of the explainer to see this in action. Imagine doing user research on that typical Indian college student's commute. The findings come back with a few major pain points. We've got shoulder discomfort from the wait. We've got poor organization, basically just a jumbled mess of books and wires in the bag. There's difficulty accessing items quickly when standing on that moving bus. And there is a very real, very stressful concern about protecting expensive laptops during a sudden, heavy monsoon downpour. So we take those specific findings and translate them into distinct HMW questions. 1. How might we reduce shoulder strain without adding bulk? 2. How might we help students find materials quickly? 3. How might we protect devices during unexpected weather? From just one single research project, we generate completely different, highly actionable design directions just by asking the right questions. That first one might lead to a brand new strap design, the second to a really smart pocket system, and the third to a built-in waterproof roll top. Before we wrap up this explainer, I have a challenge for you. I want you to literally look around you right now. Pick an everyday object. It could be your water bottle, your study table, maybe the mobile phone you're holding. I don't want you to focus on finding the perfect answer or inventing the next million-dollar product. Just focus on asking a better question. How might you improve your everyday experience with it? Remember, brilliant design doesn't begin with answers. It begins with thoughtful questions. So, what are you going to ask today?